Can I do it?
If you want.
Can I do it?
If you
One time? You ready?
I guess.
You ready?
I like how there's just a wall of sound
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah. Nope, that's copyrighted. Can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's copyrighted too.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, wait, that's copyrighted too.
That's true.
What's up, homos? Wait. Well,
You could probably get away with
Yeah.
it now. Nobody knows who
Yeah.
or what that's a reference from. Unless they watched Jack's films back in like 2012.
well, now everyone knows.
Now everybody knows.
How you doing, Alex?
I'm not doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's good. That's awesome.
I guess together we're doing okay. If you're not doing good and I'm doing great, put it in the middle. We're doing
Let me
okay.
give you an example of how I feel. If I got news that I have stage 4 terminal cancer, I'd probably shit myself with joy.
Nice.
Yes.
At least we ain't got like lumbago.
Lumbago.
Terminal lumbago.
Yes. The imaginary disease of hiya, uncle.
I didn't know where you were going with that at first. I'm like, hi,
Jackie
one
Chan
more thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while since we've done one of these.
It has been.
Why?
We should do them a bit
The
more
people want to
consistently.
know. We're 10 days away from being a whole month since we've done this.
True.
That's like 20 days.
Well, I mean, if we upload in such a way where it's like once a week. I mean,
for us.
Who knows? the
for
difference.
us, Alex.
They
for
won't
us.
know.
Well, now they know.
But no, I think the main reason has just been something like our schedules have just been more busy. We've each had different things going on that have, kind of prevented us from just banding together and recording our shitty
Plus, there's
opinions
been the
online.
depression after our one viewer left.
Oh, true. Angelo, come back. We miss you.
We love you, Angelo.
Yeah.
And
No homo though.
I will always love you.
Takar Schwa.
Yeah. You know where we need to go? Tahiti.
Could we get that one more time? With a little bit more Arthur.
A little more Arthur?
A little bit less Dutch.
A little more Arthur?
Yes, and a little
We
bit less
need
Dutch.
to go to Tahiti
There we
and
go.
buy some goddamn mangoes. I guess you're right.
You do a good Arthur
Well,
impression.
thank you. I don't quite rightly know how to respond to that compliment, but I guess you're right. You're alright, fella.
Yes, that's the only appropriate response. But no, I mean, Angelo recommended that, we kind of talk about...
I miss that boy.
He made a specific recommendation, which was like we react to stuff. But I mean, tonight...
I miss him.
Like, I don't
So
want
much.
to put in the effort of, actually playing a YouTube video and us, watching it.
Angelo, I want you to know I gave you all I had.
And then some...
I did. I tried. In the end, I really tried. Those were Arthur's last words. When Dutch was staring at him. He's lying. Like, when Michael went all, creepy mode up. Wow, you're just gonna have walls
Yeah.
of my
I'm
loud
gonna have to
ass.
just put in audio scoops everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. But yeah, if we were to whip up a topic on the fly, what would you want to talk about, dude?
Mangoes! No, I don't know.
Sure, let's talk about mangoes. Did you know that mangoes are a very, very high and significant source of vitamin H?
No, they're high in vitamin T.
For
Tahiti.
um,
Boy. There's a guy on YouTube. If you ever get a chance to watch him, his name is Sounds Like Pizza.
shout out to Sounds Like Pizza.
He
on
does
the
Arthur
YouTubes.
Morgan as well as Roger Clark does Arthur Morgan.
Shout out to Sounds Like Pizza.
If you gave me a a clip of him talking
like
and a clip of Roger Clark talking, but you didn't tell me who was who. I couldn't tell you because they sound that much alike.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
You know, the more you smoke, the more you'll sound like Arthur.
Well, in that case, let me get my crack pipe.
You would probably sound like Hosea.
Hosea?
Hosea Matthews.
Isn't he the Native American guy?
No, that's Charles. Hosea is the old man who was like Dutch's friend. Like it was him and Dutch
throwing shade, John.
It was him and Dutch who started the gang originally.
I feel like an old man.
Cause Hosea would say, Arthur, we need to find our way down the mountain and go into the valley and
that guy
and avoid the civilization, Arthur. Yes, that's who you remind me of whenever you talk.
Cool.
I was just imitating the dog.
Oh, okay. I was about to say. Give me 2 more spots to edit. I mean, I could just get a good compressor and slap it on, but...
It's going crazy. Dutch, I'm coming for you.
Indeed.
You killed Abigail, and you murdered my son Jack. Oh no. That's the only John Marston I can do is him screaming. What's the world coming to? Micah, you self-bitch.
It's a very soft sort of yell, though, that you have going on.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like John trying to do ASMR. Hey, I'm gonna be doing some tapping sounds with my revolver. Oh yeah, feel the tingles. No. Oh shit, that was an accident.
Oh no.
Have fun editing this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skin you alive, feller. I don't quite rightly know the meaning of this whole podcast. I couldn't even tell you what a podcast is. Well, Arthur, all we have to do is go down into the valley and...
On the real, though, like...
Hosea liked his valleys.
You, like, the main podcast that you listen to is, like, the Joe Rogan Experience, right?
Whenever I do, it's Joe Rogan and the Hodge Twins. And Ben Shapiro.
You listen to,
Mario
this is a bit of a weird question, but you know that guy, John Butler?
I thought you were going to say Jocko Willing, but yeah, let's go with John Butler.
Would you consider the stuff that he puts out like a podcast?
No.
Why not?
Because he doesn't call it a podcast?
I mean, just because he doesn't call it a podcast doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have like similar elements that a podcast would have. I mean, I was listening to him recently, and given the length of the videos and given the dramatic amount of substance to them, the video format that he has and the subject matter for that matter.
No, the subject matter for that matter.
Lends itself more to a podcast than, I don't know. Because it's not really like a lecture, you know. He's not really like the type to do like some sort of like Jordan Peterson-esque lecture. And at the same time, he's not really preaching. Because, I mean...
He preaching.
Well, we should probably introduce John Butler as a person in terms of like the conversation, for those of you who don't know.
He is like a really big hit in the ASMR community. That's how I found out about him. But he's very weird. The name of his YouTube channel is Spiritual Unfoldment. And while a lot of his stuff is ASMR-esque, I don't think he calls himself an ASMR, like an ASMR artist or like a person that does ASMR. But a lot of his videos, even
ASMR
on his channel...
Artists. Those two words should never be combined, Johnny.
An ASMR artist?
Yeah. ASMR artistic?
No, a lot of the videos, like the titles of his videos, in parentheses, it'll be like unintentional ASMR or something like that. So that's the market or the people that they get a lot of. I remember there was one video where he was being interviewed, and it wasn't even on his YouTube channel. It got like 24 million views. It was just old man accidental ASMR something. And it got like millions of views, and that's how I found out. I'm like, who is this old man, and why do I feel like everything he says carries like its weight in gold. And so I went on his channel, and that's when I found out about him.
Well, because the substance of what he says, like, I hate ASMR, but I listen to him, or I've been listening to him recently more for the substance of the things that he says. I mean, his input, for lack of a better term, and the ideas he elaborates on are, from a Christian standpoint, invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of Christianity nowadays is so much about the self, it's about the ego, and it's about getting as much from God as you can. And the point that he made recently that has been in the back of my mind, I should say it's been in the forefront of my mind, really, has been...
It's been on the lower left corner of my mind.
No, it's been like smack dab in front at that, you know.
Smack dab.
It's not about what you gain, it's about what you lose.
Ooh.
And I found that that's far more true than, you know, the sort of consumerist Western
Well, how much of it is glass half empty and glass half full mentality versus an actual new way of looking at it?
Because you can really positive or negative, though.
You can look at a certain scenario, but depending on what angle or perspective you're looking at it from, you can slap many different labels on it, and it's all going to be true because from the perspective that you're looking at it on.
Right, it becomes a matter of perspective. That's not really what I mean, though.
Okay.
Well, what I mean more is...
Because I guess he's just calling out something that's always been there, but from a different point of view, in the immortal words of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
In terms of, like, theology, yeah.
Okay.
Jesus talks about, you know, take up your cross and follow me. You know, the cross is a symbol of self-sacrifice. That's the fundament of Christianity, is to, you know, submit yourself to the will of, in essence, you know, God and everything he stands for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said the ideas that he expands on, paraphrasing, because they're not his ideas. They didn't originate with him. He's just, you know, a voice for them. To elaborate on that a bit more, I mean, one of the ways that you can kind of look at it is you could look at the way your average Christian prays. You know, usually, you know, he doesn't.
Oh, pray. Lord, we're just so happy to be here today.
Yeah, and you know, like, oh, thank you.
The stereotypical white people.
Thank you for the food that we're about to eat.
That you helped little Billy on his way to school.
Yeah,
today.
like, bless our family.
Our God is just as cute as a little button on a baby bumblebee.
Yeah. It's like,
he's like a little
prayers
of a little kitten.
You know, it's prayers like that. Prayers about, like, blessing. You know, oh, bless our family, Lord. You know, help our financial situation. You know, and not that
they talk to God like they're just like they're buddies.
Well, yeah, that's. There's a time and a place for that sort of thing, but there should always be the fundamental respect.
I haven't unlocked that tier yet.
No, there should always be a fundamental respect and fear in understanding, you know, like where we're at in terms of, you know, just like the divine hierarchy,
then you get
for lack of a better term.
The stereotypical black church, and they have like a whole list of titles that God has, and they have to name off every single one. And it is like they'll start praying. It's like, oh, dear gracious God, our Father, Master of the universe, the King of kings, Lord of lords, the great I am, Jehovah Jireh. Like they go through all of these different names, and they get to the very last one, and it's like, we ask all these things, and you're just really sitting there like, wait a minute, what did we just ask for? Shut up, we're in church.
Yeah, but separate from that, the way that I think Christians should be praying now, especially given the, you know, the times that we're living in, which are,
that is the world.
Yeah, like the, you know, extremely contentious, extremely
real quick, can you
dangerous.
Edit this to where anytime, like if there is a cuss word, instead of a bleep, it's like a duck quacking? To like, you son of
that would be way too much effort.
Oh, okay. That'd be really funny.
The Paul brothers do it.
Who are the Paul brothers?
Jake and Logan Paul.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, never mind. I don't want a duck. I want a I want a dying baby. Like a little baby, like as soon as it hits the wall, after you throw it, the very first noise that comes out of its mouth, that is the sound I want to bleep out.
I'm pretty sure you'd want to wait until you slam it against the wall maybe 7 or 8 times.
No, just that initial first one is total shock. Like you don't know what's going on. Yeah, but
then it's knocking on heaven's door. Around 7 or 8 times.
You open the door. Who is it? This dead baby.
But no, getting back on subject. Because that was a very morbid and very unrelated side topic.
It really was.
As far as the way I think Christians should be praying now, like, and this may be a stretch, but recently, like, at least in like my own sort of like prayer walk, for lack of a better term, I've been asking more for something like resilience.
Ooh.
Something along.
Yeah, don't pray for patience.
Well, I mean, that's basically what it is.
Tribulation worketh patience.
It's patience, and to have the same mindset of Christ going to the cross, which is
not my will, but thine be done.
Yeah, regardless of what is in front.
If you're trying to be a cool, trendy youth pastor, it's not mine, but thine. Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Now come and dine.
Because when you're with Jesus, everything is fine.
Yeah.
All the time. God is good all the time.
I'm going to kill myself.
And all the time. Before I say anything, I just want to start off by saying that God is good all the time.
Time to commit seppuku.
Y'all not know what the fuck we're supposed to say.
What?
I didn't know how long we were going to keep that awkward silence going. Yeah. Nope, can't do that. Oh, crap. We're right back where we started.
Like all good stories.
We got a damn good show for today, man. Before we start the show, be sure to get your patriotic t-shirt. Or a hat. Or beard product.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm reciting the intro of the freaking Hodge twins.
Yeah, I hear they're pretty good.
They're hysterical. There was one time they were dissecting a bit where Kamala Harris said that people getting the vaccine is biblical and is Christian because
I remember
it is the essence of love thy neighbor. And I think it was Kevin. He said, "Bitch, you crazy as hell." He's like, "You don't know nothing about it. You don't read your Bible. You just try to make shit up."
That point.
Because he read the full context of the verse, which is love thy neighbor as thyself. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I love me enough not to get the damn vaccine, so why would I try and make anybody else get it?
Yeah. Any politician who uses religion as a launching point
for their... politicians hide behind children and the Bible and the flag.
Yep.
No child left behind. No child left behind.
Well, it is interesting to see how people in power try to use the like the vestige of power that's in religion in such a way where they can sort of manipulate and control mass groups of people because they're doing it under a banner of complete altruism, and they're just acting in such a way where, oh, we're the good guys because we're with the good guys that you think are the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
And manipulating people like that, I mean, it's a very...
Hey, we just covered the anagram, the what the crap stands for in Crapcast. We covered culture, religion, and politics.
Oh,
we're done. Yep, good night. No,
yeah.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
No, but you know who I think hit the nail on the head more times than anyone gave him credit for is George Carlin.
Oh my God. Every time.
I'm gonna keep harping on this dude because
every single time it's the same conversation. Oh, Have you ever heard of George Carlin with his routine about freaking...
He was right. I mean, do you disagree with anything he said?
No. Not as far as politicians go. And not as far as corrupt religious types go. But you can only make the same point so many times.
But I mean, if the point stands, the point stands. Like, just because you get tired of hearing someone say 2 + 2 is 4, if you're talking about addition all the time, that's the most basic example because everybody knows it's true. Yeah, people are going to get annoyed about it, but it's still factual.
I think there are more perspective than George Carlin's that are valid.
Eddie Murphy. No.
It's like an artist painting on a canvas using the same skill, using the same paint, using the same brushes, and making different pieces of art with those tools. The issue with that, though, is that there are more colors, there are more tools, there are more perspectives that are equally valid.
There's more canvases.
And yeah, there is more than just that valid part of the puzzle. Because, I mean, really what he's describing is something like an aspect of reality. One
that a lot of people really, especially in today's world, they don't talk about. Because now everybody is so uptight about not wanting to offend anyone.
Like amongst each other or like online?
As a society.
Well, because like one thing I've noticed is that people on Twitter and people on social media
you have a Twitter?
In general. No.
Twitter. Listen to me. That shows you how much I use social media.
But
hey, you got one of them tweeting machines.
I've seen specifically tweets a good amount, despite not having Twitter myself, despite not having a lot of social media myself. I still see the posts.
Yeah. Same.
And people are very bold with their opinions. And as a result of that boldness, it's not a direct interaction with another person. Given the nature of social media, it's easy to say whatever it is that you would want to say with a certain layer of anonymity and a reduced threat risk because of that anonymity that emboldens the individual speaking or typing or whatever. And as a result of that that boost to the ego, they then say whatever it is that they, really would say. That's, I mean, for transparency's sake, one of the bonuses of having something like like an internet podcast, as small as this one is. It's like, you listeners, not all of you at least, really know the two of us. And as a result of that lack of personal knowledge, you can have an image of us that might not reflect the entire reality. I'd say it's safe to say that my co-host and I offer something like a slightly exaggerated version of our personalities for entertainment's sake. But we ourselves, we don't all only talk about, crap. And we don't all only talk about, morbid jokes about dead babies. I mean, that wouldn't be how real people work, needless to say. But the phenomena of social media allows us to exist in something of a virtual world in which different ideas and different opinions can be consolidated into a very well-kept echo chamber. And that echo chamber, self-designed as well as reinforced by the algorithms that are, that exist, it results in this very sort of, depending on, granted, the personality of the individual, but I mean, broadly speaking, a very sort of contentious environment in terms of the political landscape, in terms of religious opinions, in which it's hard to have actual conversations with people. And the solution to this, which, I mean, at the top of my head, I mean, I don't really have like a undeniable sort of universal, magic, whatever. I mean, I'm not that smart. I'm not really that smart at all. But a solution would be to separate from, the machine, as it were, and to interact more with people in person and have more conversations in person and be more open to the fact that we as individuals might be wrong and giving ourselves up that way, which is, difficult, and it exposes us. And as a result of that exposure, we're put under a certain pressure, cast under a certain light that really shows us who and what we really are. And that's a scary thing. But depending on the company you're in, and depending on their motives as well as your own, the truth can be found. Because of our ability to, in comparison to, like animals, for example, because humans are rational, at least a part of them is. I mean, we're also like half crazy monkeys. But because there's a part of us that's rational, and that part can be reinforced, it's possible for us to interact in such a way where we come to truths that we didn't previously know were true, that we didn't realize, even if we kind of had those individual puzzle pieces together, or we had them but we didn't have them together. I recall recently knowing about a certain personal issue in which I knew the solution to it for quite some time, but because of multiple issues, I didn't quite fit them perfectly. And welcome back.
What's up, baby?
Oh, not much. I just had a solo conversation about the effects of
George Carlin.
Not really George Carlin so much as like
I'm hungry.
The effects of social media and using real life interaction as a far better alternative.
Can you imagine though what kind of material George Carlin would have today if he was still alive?
Probably nothing that hasn't been already done.
No, I mean like with the whole transgender movement and the cancel culture and being woke and everything. To sum it all up, I think how he would react to it, this is what I think George Carlin would say, okay? You have all these different ribbons for all these different things. Red ones for this, blue ones for police officers, pink ones for cancer. I got a brown one, you know what I mean? Eat shit! No. He would just tell everyone to go eat shit. Go yourself, is what he would say.
Probably.
So, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I want to see your take on this because it's one of those, like, you know how people get really bored and they'll be like, hey dude, would you rather fight 100 ant-sized elephants or 1 elephant-sized ant? And it's just like really weird, obscene questions like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what this is. Would you rather go, let's say 10 years into the future with $50,000 in cash?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather go back 20 years into the past but with all the knowledge you have now and like all the memories that you have now about everything that's happened?
I would keep them all. Like all the memories.
And go back 20 years?
Like,
yeah.
So,
for a second there, I didn't know if you were asking me or telling me.
Gotcha. Like, so
10 years into the future.
Because, like, knowing my memory, I'd probably forget. Let alone the fact that I'd be, like, literally 1 year old.
But, like, you still have everything. Like, you don't forget anything. That's the catch. That's the stipulation. It's like, you age
Honestly,
and crap.
I mean...
And you grow up, but, like, you still
I'm
remember.
at a weird point where, like, everything that's kind of happened to me, both positive and negative, I wouldn't change. With few exceptions of, like, obvious mistakes.
The bitch!
No. Not even that. Not even that.
I would change my accident.
Well,
when I was 21 years old, I poo-pooed in my pants.
Something like that.
In front of everybody.
Well, because, like...
And they charged me thousands of dollars for pooping my pants. And they didn't even wipe my butt. They just told me take an aspirin.
Shit.
That's basically what happened.
Well, no, because, like, if you think about it, and this may be a total stretch, you know, just me talking out of my ass. But
don't poop yourself.
Otherwise, it will be in my face.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we're basically a rough amalgamation of all our memories.
Mm-hmm.
And the choices that we've made. Which could also be, you know, a subcategory under the primary one of memory. That's who and what we are. So, I don't know if I would want to change where I'm at specifically in a good number of ways, given the fact that I'm comfortable with my trajectory, not because of myself, but more because of, like, faith reasons.
Dude, everything that has happened to you, good and bad, has made you who you are today.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is getting Alzheimer's disease and, like, losing my memory. Because don't get me wrong, there's some crap I wish I could forget. Mm-hmm. And I know there's crap, and this is going to sound really weird and juxtaposed, but I know that there's crap I wish I could remember. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what I want to remember because I don't remember it. Mm-hmm. If I remembered it, I wouldn't want to remember it.
Right. But
I think that I wouldn't change anything that, you know, it's very cliche and to quote unquote go against the grain and say, oh, I live with no regrets and blah, 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 blah. Of course, you're going to have regrets. But to the point of going back in time and trying to fix it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because, I mean, honestly...
You would not be who you are.
Knowing myself, because, like, here's the thing. Like, trying to really break down how that would work, you know, on a physiological level, we're somewhat fated to do some really stupid things at certain points in time.
Yeah.
And as a result of that just biological fact, I mean... life must happen to the foolish, and we're all foolish at one point, and even when we think we're not, we still are in ways we don't know.
Mm-hmm. The only difference between a smart fool and a dumb fool is a smart fool knows he's a fool. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I think I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's biblical. I mean, one of the things that Paul talked about, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it on the podcast before, is those people who are Christians who consider themselves wise. He said something along the lines of, he says in Romans not to consider yourself wise, and that there's one who's wise, and that person who's wise is God. But he also says in another place, actually, I'm going to look it up real quick.
All right.
Because it was interesting. Give me just a sec. It was... Here we go. Alright, so this is, for those of you listening who are good Christian boys. This is in 1 Corinthians 3:18. Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him become a fool that he may become wise. That's
as above, so below. You gotta go backward to go forward.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how as above, so below ties in, but
yeah, I was just saying that to sound cool.
Oh, okay. Because like
that was honestly the first thing that popped in my head, and I don't even agree with what I just said.
Yeah.
As I was saying, I'm like, wait a minute, this has no relevancy. Quick, change it.
As below, so even lower.
as below, so too to the bottom. Must one go to find the lowest of the low.
How low can you go? Can you
go down low? All the way to the flow.
Yes, that's in First Opinions chapter.
One hop this time.
Yes.
If John Butler tried to hop, he'd probably have a stroke.
Probably.
I love John Butler. I'm sorry I said that. Man, you really got to watch what you say on these things.
True.
Like, it's so easy to be human. Not saying that you have to be something other than human when you're doing a podcast, but like,
well,
if you have a platform where other people are going to listen to you, you know.
Yeah, there's a certain level of responsibility.
Whether it's Joe Rogan or Johnny and Alex, like, you know that no one needs to have a podcast set up surrounding them 24/7, because to see what a person's really like when the microphones are turned off and everything, and you know, and all that other stuff, like, it's, you know, it's different, because you have to put yourself out there a certain way. It's not being manipulative or being two-faced or anything like that.
I mean, while we were, or when you had left before, I mentioned that, you know, we kind of portray ourselves as just slightly exaggerated versions of ourselves.
Well, we all present slightly different versions to ourselves, depending on who we're around
as well. But
yeah,
wait, what was it you were gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, you know, and you know this as a fact, but like, subconsciously we present ourselves differently to different people depending on who we're around. Like, obviously I'm not going to always behave the same way around you as I would, say, if we met a pastor or you know, a church person,
right? You show him respect,
or at my job, or say a waiter or a waitress. Like, depending on who the person is, we're going to present slightly different versions of ourselves. And I think a lot of it has to do with what title that person has, because, you know, human beings love their titles, and how familiar we are with that person.
True.
Because if you've only known someone for 5 minutes, they're not going to be as comfortable around you as someone they've known for 5 years. Like, that was the nice thing, on a real note, when Angelo came out here. It's like, we've known each other for so long, we could just hop right into a conversation, and like,
yeah, it
wouldn't be weird. It wouldn't be like, you know, put off or awkward, because like, oh, I don't really know you that well. I was like, hey dude, what's that? Why that? That's got like, we could just be dorks.
Yeah, and that comes with deep-seated familiarity. But friendship is a strange thing, because in a way it's almost like it's an engagement in which you give an impression of yourself to another individual, and they give another impression of themselves to you, and there's like a merging of the two personalities that forms, you know, something of a cohesive bond.
Yep. And the way I best heard it described is, your weirdness speaks to my weirdness.
Yeah.
We shall be weird together.
Yes. Because, like, you know me, I'm not really like a friendly sort of
Sure person. You are. You're the nicest, most friendliest, outgoing human being I've ever met in my entire life.
I love people.
So much.
Yes. I love you, person listening. Anyways.
Damn, that was kind of creepy.
Good.
Shit.
Because
my hat.
Because there is a certain level of vulnerability when you open up to somebody, and that's
level of water that I need. What is that? Is that kombucha?
There's no water in there anymore. I drank it.
That's fine.
Well, because like,
I'll just die.
That's another thing that I mentioned before. while you were gone is like there's a level of vulnerability that's introduced when you're actually having a conversation with somebody, and like if it's an honest conversation, and it's easy for people to fall into traps of either judgment or deception or manipulation in situations like that when somebody's being, honest and open with you in such a way where an emotional wound can be inflicted.
Yeah. The more you open up your heart, the bigger of a target you make for it to get hurt.
Yeah, that's true. Well said. And it's for that reason, that vulnerability that I've never really been a fan of having many friends, because to have many friends is to have many potential enemies, and to have many potential enemies is to be in a position in which you're more able to be harmed.
Because at the same time, you don't want to be a fake friend and just have friends, quote unquote friends, for the sake of having friends, because deep down you don't want to be by yourself or anything like that, and it all becomes alone. So superficial and fake and full of lying that like you I had a moment where I thought I was going to be that kid. Have you ever when you ever and you should have when he could have when he should have? I thought I was going to turn into that kid for a minute, so I was just like, wait a minute, shut up. Let me rephrase this. Because, like I said, you have like fake friends and lying and all this other shit because deep down they don't want to be by themselves. And what ends up happening is that it can turn into this whole amalgamation where you can open up your heart, quote unquote, by having all those different friends and outlets. And at the same time, all the shit you're putting out there is fake. So that way, if they do try to turn it and use it against you, it's not going to hurt because it was never real to begin with.
Oh, so it's basically fake resounding with...
Yeah, I've seen people do it.
That's interesting. So that's almost like some next level emotional manipulation.
The shit you put out there, and to add another level on top of it, you do it slowly and hesitantly so that they think that they're worming their way in.
You sound like you speak from experience.
You let them think that they're worming their way in, and you let them into your heart, quote unquote. And meanwhile, all the shit that you're letting them come into is fake. And then, when the inevitability comes that they will turn on you, they didn't turn on you at all because A, you suspected it from the beginning, B, all the shit that they have isn't even real.
That's when you're like, you fool, I deployed my trap guard.
Yeah, pretty much.
You kill me? No, I kill you.
Exactly.
To quote the Japanese guy from Zombies.
And I'm not, no, screw it, I'll say it, I've done it before. But that's only because, you know how you can tell, especially the longer you live on the earth and the more you're around people, you can tell who the fake people are. I knew right away from the beginning that most of these people I was hanging out with were fake to some degree, and that it was all just superficial BS because they were trying to use me for something. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to be by myself, but at the same time, I know all these people are full of shit.
Right.
How can I play this to where I'm not necessarily going to say I win, because there are no real winners in that situation.
Yeah, there's
there really
just a
aren't.
bunch of losers.
But how can I come out of this still getting what I want and not getting hurt?
Right.
So it was like a dark sense of survival, a subconscious sense of survival.
Yeah, I mean, that does make sense. I mean, when you're in that sort of position, in which your social need for what would be the right way of phrasing it? Because humans are social creatures.
And the problem is the problem is that once you realize that you don't need it to begin with, and you eliminate the idea that you need friends, all of that goes away. And I say that very hesitantly because the whole idea of needing friends is a very human one. Because realistically, all you need is the ability to eat, to drink water, oxygen, and on a super primal level, those are the only things you need.
Yeah, if you're talking basic survivability, you
don't need friends to survive. But let's say we got 60 seconds left. You do the first half of the outro. Go, boom.
Well, I hope this podcast served as a effective and more than effective. Oh, I'm gonna have to clip that. I hope it served as a mutually beneficial and interesting escape from the trials and troubles of your day. And on that note, I bid you all a very fond farewell, to quote Bilbo Baggins. Happy trails.
It could be anything.
Alright, don't set the world on fire. That's beautiful. Good night, everybody.
You can't end it by kissing.
I'm gonna hit the space bar. Bye. Wait, you didn't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.